Bukayo Saka leaving Selhurst Park on crutches, aided by Arsenal's medical staff. If you don't laugh, you will cry. It's not what Arsenal fans want to see of a key player, especially during a key run-in. And to be honest, it was probably something we all expected to happen. Injuries are part and parcel to footballers, but it doesn't make the sight any less disappointing. And it brings you onto the verge of tears for obvious reasons. As I was saying, it is undoubtedly the worst possible sight for Arsenal fans. And it probably does ruin Christmas for certain Arsenal fans. This is a player who has made 253 appearances for us. Currently this season has 13 assists and 9 goals. Along with Martin Odegaard, forms the right-hand side of our team, which is a source of, us winning games quite simply. Over the past 3 seasons, Bukayo Saka has only missed 10 out of Arsenal's 172 matches in all comps since making his debut 6 seasons ago. He's never been out for more than one top 5 game at a time due to injury. Since making his Prem debut in 2019, Saka has also never missed back-to-back Premier League games due to injury. In the past 2.5 seasons, Saka has only missed 4 top-flight games. So for him, this is new territory. But for Arsenal, it's a bitter pill to swallow and a major blow. And obviously, Bukayo Saka, in the same vein of Mohamed Salah at Liverpool, is the poster boy of his side. Naturally, you're going to be reliant on him, but it does raise several questions, which we'll get onto, people. On the topic of reliance, we see what Saka does down the right-hand side. Arsenal's attack down the right accounts for 46% of the time. That's the highest percentage of one flank in the Premier League this season, which again is due to Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka's individual brilliance, but also what Mikel Arteta demands of them. If there was one player we could not afford to lose, people, not that we want any to be lost, if there was one we couldn't afford to lose ahead of the new year and the games we've got to come, undoubtedly it's Bukayo Saka. We all know the important games we have. We've got United in the FA Cup, a North London derby, tricky tests away from home against Brentford and Brighton, not to mention the League Cup against Newcastle, or better yet, the 2-legged tie. There are some rumours that say Saka will be back in February. Some say as far as March. Who knows, people? But it's a bitter pill to swallow, and it makes already a difficult task of winning silverware even tougher. Clearly, at this point, we all know the problems that have arisen with Bukayo Saka's absence, or better yet, injury. But what are the solutions? What can we do to kind of salvage and tick over until Bukayo Saka's back? Let's crack on and see exactly what that could be. Mikel Arteta has played quite coy when speaking about Arsenal's potential transfer plans in January. However, for me as an Arsenal fan, surely the solution is to dip into the market. Whether we've got the money to spend, whether the price is right, whether we're able to do business in a difficult period, who knows? As you know, we've been linked with several names, the Ryan Cherkis of Lyon, the Alex Buenas of Villarreal, who is more of a wide playmaker, but is a wide man nonetheless. And Buemo, again, would Brentford want to let him go on the cheap mid-season? You also look at Nico Williams. We've been linked with him all summer. Is he going to leave Bilbao in January? Mohamed Kudus has an 85 million release clause. Are we going to spend that in January? Young Jamie Gittins of Dortmund has been linked with us. Are we going to put the price tag down for him? Cunha has also been linked with us, but Wolves are in a relegation battle. And you've also got Kingsley Coleman, who's been linked with us. Whether these things are feasible or not, we need to dip into the market. Liverpool have played 17 Premier League games so far. Their top goal scorer, Mohamed Salah, has 17, which is phenomenal. Then you've got Diaz with 8. Then you've got Gakpo with 5. Then you've got an injury hit Jota with 4. Now, if you compare that to Arsenal's, Kai Havertz is our top goal scorer with 7. Bearing in mind, his recent goal was the first in a hot minute. Bukayo Saka's got 5. Obviously, he's not going to be playing a part. Martinelli's hardly been able to score, and he's got 4. Magalhaes, big Gabriel, better yet, Gabriel Magalhaes has 3. Big up the set piece king. Trossard and Gabriel Jesus have 3 and 2 respectfully. And again, apart from Bukayo Saka, goal scorers and ultimately how we're going to win games has been in question. So we should have done what we needed to do in the summer. And in my opinion, we need to act in the market. I'm sure Liverpool fans, they would miss Mohamed Salah, but they undoubtedly feel a lot more comfortable in his absence than we do with Bukayo Saka missing, much less the fixtures we have. We can talk about transfers as much as we want, but for the meantime, until Mikel Arteta and Arsenal do something, he has to find internal solutions. He has talked about the versatility and the other options we have internally in the squad. None are to Saka's level. Do you put Martinelli over there? I think he might go over there. You could argue, people, Martinelli might struggle. Arteta did mention isolation. Surely you're going to be isolated. He did look good out there against Crystal Palace, and you could argue it could be a good solution. Raheem Sterling's injured, but does he be provided with an opportunity to get more first team football? Surely Leandro Trossard is the most easy fit over on that hand side. Gabriel Jesus for Bukayo Saka has deputized over there. Could that be an option? Or is there truth in the Fabio Vieira returning from loan reports? It's a lot of data and information for you guys to process. I do want to know something though, people, and it's bugging me, and I implore everybody listening to this to give me their thoughts. What would you lot do? Obviously, let me know what you do in the transfer market and in terms of internal solutions to kind of get around this, people. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe while you're here, man. Help the channel grow, man. Appreciative and thank you in advance for that. Let's crack on. Now, for me, people, I don't know how to feel. The first thing I would say is we wish Bukayo Saka a great recovery. While we know him as a footballer, we got to remember this is a 23-year-old that's just had surgery on a torn hamstring, and we hope there's no long-lasting implications. And for Saka, you can never say an injury is a silver lining, but I guess, you know, this is his first big injury in 23 years of age. Beyond all the praise I could give Bukayo Saka, I appreciate his resilience. Whenever his back's against the wall, whether it's, you know, the missing the penalty against the Euros or the disappointment of our collective seasons not winning the league, he always bounces back. And at 23, this is his first significant injury. We hope he suffers no more, but unfortunately, getting injured for professional footballers is like a chef cutting their hand. Now, for me, people, of course, you know, no one could have predicted this injury crisis and all of that kind of jazz, but being devil's advocate, for us as common fans, we can say that for a football club, that's no excuse. You know, you have to make sure you have depth. Last season was an anomaly in a sense of that was probably our first season where we've had a fairly clean run with injuries. And even that, we lost Timber. One begs to question what would have what would Timber be like? Sorry for getting tongue-tied there, people. If he never got that, obviously Partey and Tomiyasu were injured. So we have to count our blessings. But rather than learn from that, count our blessings and make sure we fix the roof while the sun is shining. For whatever reason, whether we couldn't do it on the market, there's no players available and all of that jazz. At the beginning of 2024, Mikel Arteta said we have one of the smallest squads. Don't believe me, type it in on Google. And then after that, last week, he said the same thing. So between Arteta, the recruitment staff, and Arsenal, we've shot ourselves in the foot. We cannot keep standing in the rain and complain while we're wet. And one frustration for me is I know it's easy for me as a fan to criticize people, but it feels like we create or engineer our own problems, if I'm completely honest. And what I mean by that is in the 17, 18, 19 games we played this season, if I just say, you know, the question marks around midfield, around squad depth, around, you know, if our attackers, even when Saka's fit, is good enough to score the goals, around the left-hand side. Now, obviously, you know, if Benjamin White, Odegaard and Saka are not there, these are all things we've spoken about for a year or two. So I can't act like in the Premier League so far, these are new issues, people. We should have, coulda, woulda, shoulda. There's no place for that. All we can do is move forward internally with the solutions we've quote unquote got and try and dip into the transfer market. That's my frustration. And obviously to lose Saka, he's one of the best in the league and evidently one of the best on our team. God knows where we'd be without his goals and assists and things like that. He's probably the one man you can look at in our attacking line from August till now and say for the vast majority of the season, they're going to do the business. Obviously from set pieces, chance creation is an issue at Arsenal, but Saka scores quite high. So there's a big drop off in that regards. And, you know, it's time for the players to step up and stand up to be counted and Mikel Arteta to earn his money. But, you know, the potential 180 minutes away from a final in the League Cup, if we get past Newcastle, Saka's not going to be there. North London Derby, FA Cup against Manchester United, Aston Villa to come. The games are coming thick and fast. And obviously from the point of Saka being medically signed off to resume his footballing career, that doesn't mean he's back to his best or he's going to be fully fit and things of that ilk. Some rumors say he's going to be back in Feb. Some go as negative to say late March, early April. Some actually say his season's done, which I hope isn't the case, people. I think we've got to dip into the market. I genuinely think we've got to dip into the market. Of course, I don't necessarily believe the Kuduses, Nico Williams, Adamola Lookmans, all of these guys are going to sign for the club. But I don't, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's like Disney Channel Almighty Ducks where our backs are against the wall, players stand up to be counted. But I don't think we have enough. Even on the best of days, you could make a case of 2 attacking additions, a striker, and probably a versatile wide man who's probably going to play off the left. And we have been talking about if there's no backup for Bukayo Saka, where does that leave us? So yeah, man, the injuries haven't been kind to us. I think there's probably only a handful of Arsenal players that haven't had an injury during this season, but injuries are part and parcel, and it's not unique to us. You know what? Partey's been relatively injury free, but he's had a knock. Calafiori's had a knock. Young Lewis Skelly, who's doing well at left backs, had a knock. Zinchenko's had a knock. Tierney, who's not really part of the first team like that, has had a knock. We've missed Gabriel because of injury. We've obviously missing Bukayo Saka, Benjamin White, who we knew what time it was based on previous seasons. Martin Odegaard, if I haven't said that. I'm sure Gabriel Jesus as well. Raheem Sterling now with a knee issue, which is sad because Sterling might have been given a chance per se. And you can't even recall Reece Nelson because he's picked up a knock. And anyone suffering with injuries, we hope they're all right. You throw Moreno in there. For me, I think the only solution is to dip into the market. If you were to ask me out of the existing options, I don't know how you look at it, because I feel on one hand, Martinelli's going to go over to that hand side. But then you could argue you've already got fragmented pieces in your team. Could it make sense to keep Martinelli on the left and bring in Trossard, or put Gabriel Jesus over there, or a Raheem Sterling? Or if it was up to me, I'll probably keep Martinelli on the left and put Trossard on the right. But I understand if Martinelli goes to the right. But then again, saying that, I do believe it should be Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and give or take Trossard or Martinelli. I'd probably lean towards Trossard if I'm honest with you. So I must admit, I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta. I don't want to keep sounding like a broken record, but you could see that this was coming, and it does bring you back to the summer market. And we're already making a difficult task of winning a Premier League or a Champions League or both. I'm dreaming even more difficult. It's like we have self-inflicting issues. This isn't anything new. Arsenal and injuries is nothing new. Last season was probably the first season in years where there wasn't any. So you could call it naivety. You could call it stupidity. As I said, you can't stand in the rain and complain you're wet, for me anyways.